And Kithure Kindiki has been sworn in as Kenya's new deputy president after court lifted orders barring his inauguration following legal challenges by his predecessor, who was impeached by parliament. On Friday, Mr. Kindiki took his oath of office before the chief registrar following weeks of legal tussle after former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua challenged his appointment in court. President William Ruto, who nominated Mr. Kindiki as his deputy, as well as diplomats, and more than 100,000 people attended the event at the Kenyatta International Convention Centre in the capital, Nairobi. Friday was declared a public holiday for Mr. Kindiki's inauguration, and the Senate removed former deputy president from office in October on charges of gross violation of the Constitution and stirring ethnic hatred accusations that he rejected and described as politically motivated. Well, let's discuss this now. We have alumnus of the African Liberty Writing Fellowship, Jamlik Kogi. He joins us from Nairobi to help us understand how this would impact the economy and as well what's the mood like in Kenya, particularly in Nairobi. It's good to have you join us on The World Now. Well, talk to us about what's your reaction first of all. I know that the opposition party will be riling, as to this the impeachment process and of course this inauguration of a new deputy president. What's the opposition's reaction to this appointment and then of course to Gachagua's impeachment?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, indeed, today it was declared to be a public holiday in Kenya following yesterday's ruling by the court that the process to have Professor Kithure Kindiki to be sworn in had been stopped, that now the court gave a go-ahead to proceed with that process. Now, Professor Kindiki has a very good CV. He's a second professor to hold the deputy president's position. The previous one was Professor George Saitoti, may he rest in peace. And recently he has been the cabinet secretary for the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Besides having a good CV, however, on the other side that Kenyans are awake to is that Professor Kindiki was the CS in a ministry that oversaw butchering of Kenyans in the recent Gen Z demonstrations. So as much as he has a good CV, he comes with the burden of his minister was in charge of police when they vetted brutality. There has been recent abductions of anyone voicing different opinion against the government. So he's not the very holy person that Kenyans would look up to. But again, it's a matter of loyalty. He's a very good friend of the president. He was actually one of his lawyers during the International Criminal Court when the current president was being tried at The Hague. But we wish him the very best. We hope now the Deputy President, Professor Kindiki, and the President will have a cordial working relationship and actually serve Kenyans, because there are many issues that are bedeviling the nation than just the usual politics. For the immediate former Deputy President who was elected with the President 2 years ago, Rigathi Gachagua, at this point, we just wish him the very best in court, although now it is more or less he may not be reinstated. But if that happens, we'll see it may be a new jurisprudence, so to speak, or what would happen now that we have a deputy president and the court goes ahead to declare the other one that he should come back to office, which is unlikely. But we are hoping for the very best that now the president and the deputy president and the cabinet would now focus on serving the Kenyans.
Of course, we've seen that also what caused the riots and the protests we experienced in June. The court now has reinstated the 2023 finance law. How do you react to that? Is that sitting well with residents over there?
Well, a majority of Kenyans following that, again, recent restatement this week of Finance Bill 2023, which had been declared unconstitutional by the courts, and the matter went to the High Court of Kenya. So some are looking at it as a way of interference or having an ear with International Monetary Fund that such a country of ours and other African countries depend on, because without now a finance bill governing the country, so to speak, or where the budget and the appropriations bill are pegged onto, there would be sort of a gap to have things moving forward. However, there are still concerns in that finance bill of 2023 is the one that raised the fuel levy or VAT on fuel from 8% to around 16%. And if that is to continue with the current high cost of living, Kenyans are not very excited about the same. There is also the other view of where you find the Supreme Court is the ultimate court, but goes on ahead to overturn a decision by the other lower court, which is the High Court. So it's like they are kind of looking at what powers really does every court have, and are they looking into the merits of the matters before making these decisions. There was also the other concern about there's quite a lacuna, gap in the law of not well defined of how well effective public participation is, and we look forward to the legal expert in the country and the courts to really define this, so that in future we don't have to come back to such a matter where now you find citizens feeling that there was not effective or efficient public participation. But again, we are optimistic that there is going to be continuous give and take with our legislators to ensure that they don't overburden the citizens with very unpleasant heavy taxation.
Of course, high cost of living is a concern for a lot of people. Do you think people will go back to the streets in protest?
For now, the country is peaceful. There is no need to go back to the streets at the moment. But in case, with now the Deputy President and the President now, they are ready now to proceed with serving the Kenyans. If we continue finding that the cost of living is still high, there are no major changes, improvement, especially from the President's speech today, that together they would crack down on corruption and ensure that the money is used for the right reasons. If that doesn't happen, then Kenyans are now weaker than ever before, and they will go back to the streets to create awareness. But for now, we want to give them a chance to really deliver.
Jamli Kogi, alumnus of the African Liberty Writing Fellowship, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the world now.
Thank you.